Hello, I'm Chris, and this is my Tamiya Grasshopper Gone Insane video. This is my third time rebuilding this thing. We're gonna run through the build. We got oil-filled shocks. We're gonna show you some little tips and tricks going through one of these. Show you the 3S battery I use, the motor I've been running to get 46 miles an hour. I have a candy green edition we're gonna unbox real quick and see, do we still have to paint the roll bars black and the little silver trim, or does it come ready to go? So I have a re-release and I bought a vintage one, and we're gonna kind of show you that they're exactly the same. Even though I just got an RC about 2 years ago, I freaking love the Grasshopper. Let's get started. So let's start this off with the most important part. I crashed my Grasshopper at 46 miles an hour and destroyed it. In the video, it just lifted itself up off the ground. Now, I don't think that was because it was going so fast. I think it's because the wheel was bent. So when I did 46 miles an hour, I was using the plastic bushings. As you can see, we have ball bearings in here now. And so what you want to do is you can build you a little wheel tester. We were building our wheel tester, but look what I found right there. That axle is bent. And that's exactly why my Grasshopper flipped at 46 miles an hour. So you can straighten axles. It's going to bend right there on that weak point. This just goes in a junk pile for now. So I don't throw this stuff away because somebody out there can straighten it and use it in a slower car. So to check your trueness on your wheels, you want to build you a contraption like this. We're just setting this up like a lathe, so you kind of get the idea of what we're doing here. And using the gap, and when it touches, you're going to figure out where you need to try to bend your wheel back and forth. Now, this is after an hour trying to straighten this one, and it was just bent so bad. So this is going in the junk parts with the axle. Now, they are 3-piece wheels, so it's this main center part that is no good. And you see those little burrs, you can take some sandpaper on a really good table and just quickly deburr that. So the vintage wheel could be bent too. So let me go get some brand new wheels and let's see how straight they are. So let's go ahead and open this candy green edition and check out the body, and let's get some brand new wheels. I'm going to make a prediction that there's no way it's going to come with the black roll bars painted. It does not. You know what? I'm probably going to sell this on eBay. Not feeling that color at all. This is a vintage 1984 frame and body. As you can see, these were not as strong as the re-releases because this car had a 380 motor. It was kind of scratched up, but look at that kind of damage right there. I'll pop that crack back in, but this body was not as strong. It is a candy paint job, and it's a nice paint job, but this is just, I don't like this color. So this is my re-release. It is painted white, and this thing got flipped and bashed and trashed, and you can see there are no cracks, but there's a lot of damage. So let's go ahead and deburr them. Let's do the first one just lightly snugged up. Now, it's still got that little imperfection in it. Let's tighten it up a whole bunch. It's still got that little bitty wobble in it. So in fact, this car is not made for super high speed. I know they make the aluminum machine wheels for these cars, but putting metal wheels on your RC car can knock the speeds down 10, 15 miles an hour. I'm not interested in that. So that itch of mine has now been scratched. All right, so now you know the wheels aren't perfect. So the back wheels, we got an idea on that. The front wheels are not going to give you those problems. And both of these from the vintage car and my car were both chewed up right there, and they're both perfectly straight. All of them are. So these are way easier to test. You just put your upright or steering knuckle, and these are all good, all 4 of them. If you're doing speed runs in your Grasshopper or Hornet, you might want to change those back wheels to something more streetable. That is so crazy. I wish I could go back in time. So the vintage tires from 84, pretty sure they used exactly the same rubber and mold and everything. They feel exactly the same. These things are not brittle or hard. Okay, so when you're putting these tires on there, you want to set them up and make sure you have the paddles in the right direction. And I'm not 100% sure if you can mess this up, but just remember, they go in a certain way. So no, you're not weak. These things are very hard to get in there. Some dial soap might help. Setting these out in the sun. Let's get them in there. So if you're having trouble getting these little screws in there, it's because they don't use a tiny Phillips screwdriver. They don't use the big one either. They use that kind of medium-sized one. I can't remember the numbers right now. They're not that bad, but they're not perfect. This little tool is cool on a flat table because look, see how it's dancing around because it's not balanced. Anyway, extremely important stuff. If you're going to be doing high speeds in your Grasshopper, you might want to change the back wheels out. We crashed it at 46 miles an hour, 3S, with a 4300 kV brushless motor. So this is the battery that I'm using. That's a cheap one off of eBay because it fits in the Grasshopper with no problems. So if you're new to RC, be careful buying batteries, because this was 1500 milliamp hours, and I said, well, let me get a 5000. I paid $40, $50, $60 for this battery, and I haven't even used it yet. And you see what happens there. The batteries just get huge, so always check the dimensions and don't make the same mistake I did. Heavier batteries, like metal parts, weigh your car down. So this is probably all you need. So we were getting 46 with this 43, so we're going to go with a 33 kV, and hopefully we'll get around 39, 40 miles an hour. That's where I want to be with this, not 46. So remember, when you're building your Grasshopper, you have to get the 18 tooth 08 modular thread pitch or gear. It's the older style. Okay, so on the spur gear, it has plastic bushings, and we're going to run bearings on the spur gear too. The motor plate's very important, so grease and dirt doesn't go in there, so always run your motor plate. Remember, flat side of the shaft is where you want to run that grub screw once the pinion mounted like this. Mess with RC, you're going to have to get you one of these. They're super cheap on eBay. This thing has been working for many years. Zeroed out, set this to 16. Okay, now unless you're doing super crazy high-speed stuff, you don't need to torque down that grub screw. Been getting a bunch of used models. They cranked that thing, thread locked it, all kinds of weird stuff. You don't have to go crazy. So anytime you're using the kitchen sink, make sure there's no grease and crap in there. These are used. I'm gonna scrub the crap out of these with Dial soap. Purple Power. This stuff is awesome on RC stuff, but be careful. We got the kitchen window open right here. This stuff will make you feel weird. Let it soak in there if you're worried about grease, and just let them air dry. So here's a brand new Grasshopper body. You can just hit it with the Purple Power. This will degrease anything off of it. So don't touch the body anymore. Pick it up like that and go let it air dry. So we're gonna go ahead and show airbrushing the little guy. We have blue painter's tape on here. Just get something, poke it in there, and get your little mask line ready. Don't ever try to be a perfectionist when you do this. Just get the freaking thing cut out and get it cut out close. A lot of RC guys will not show this kind of stuff because they're embarrassed that somebody will make fun of them. Why? Because you've already put yourself out there like you're a master builder. This isn't a RC channel, but we're definitely going to be doing RC stuff on it for the rest of my life. All right, so airbrush, I have a video on this channel of what I'm using. I got the compressor down there, mixed up some little semi-gloss black. See how we have this paper right here? Always get your little thing started. You don't have to go in a pattern with this airbrush. It sprays it so light. You can hand paint. All of this is hand painted, even that gloss blue on his helmet. Kind of relaxing to hand paint, but you see, if we want perfection, you have to get into airbrushing. And to see how perfect that came out, how flat it laid down. We still have to paint the little straps flat black, and anything like that, it's better to have to go back with black than to cover the white with black. So painting the face and the eyes, you're gonna have to hand paint that. But if we would have put some tape on there and masked that line, we would already be done with this. So when you're painting these Tamiya hard plastics and you want your job to come out right, you have to buy the correct paint. Now you can buy Testors lacquer for plastic, but I'm telling you right now from experience, stay away from Rust-Oleum, Krylon, Duplicolor. I do not care. You can get good results with those other brands, but when you mess up bad. So I know the Grasshopper uses white wheels, and that's what we should be painting it with, but I don't need these painted for my Grasshopper. So we're doing this set of wheels for the Hornet and the Frog, and this works just fine. Okay, so you always want to start off with testing. That's the hub part. In other words, that's all that shows. So if we mess this piece up, no big deal. These have been sitting out in the sun. Get your cans warmed up. So the first coat's always a super light tack coat. Just from a distance. That's it. So it's about 10 minutes in between coats, but honestly, let that dry as long as you can. So this is the back wheel, been dry for about 2 days. Just do the fingernail test. Try to scratch it off. So we were able to scratch off a little bit, but we did not wash this wheel. We can't scratch it off on any other places, so that means the adhesion works. So if you're in doubt about the paint, You want to wash it really good, and you want to dust on a light coat of primer. They have this in white and gray. The metallics, you have to keep this shaken up. All right, look at it from all angles. Looks good. Okay, when I was cleaning this body in the Purple Power, it took off that oil-based paint pen I used to do the roll bars. That's why we're doing them over again. This is actually my first time doing a hard body like this. Yeah, this is crazy. Okay, so far this is way worth it. We're gonna thin the paint out a little bit more on it. But remember to come in here too. This is awesome. Look at those freaking roll bars. It looks so beautiful. The only downside is it did take like 30 minutes to mask this off. You see how it's nearly impossible to mess up with the airbrush. The closer you get, you can spray it on thicker. That's what makes this so freaking awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and clear coat this. Okay, so same thing, testers. So the first coat on there kind of light. You can go heavier with the second and then a little heavier on the third. But always keep in mind, you got little passages where other things go through, so you don't want to cake up a whole bunch of paint on there. But let's talk about this here for a second. So this kind of error right there, just go back, touch that up. If it really bothers you, that kind of stuff, that's just normal, acceptable type errors. But that's the kind of stuff that you learn over time. Hey, I need to press that in there more next time I mask. So you see what we did? Go touch up things if they bother you. Yeah, that does look a lot better now. So the silver held up in there. We don't have to repaint that. Okay, so the original spotlights were scratched up so bad from flipping it, and I managed to sand them down. So I painted the flat black over. Came out real nice. We still have to paint the white. We'll do that off camera by hand. So if your hard paint job bodies aren't coming out good, it's because they probably have contaminants on them. See that? Now, we washed this really good with Purple Power, but there's some kind of oil and crap on this one. Go back with some alcohol microfiber and look down this body before you just go throw some paint on it. See, we still have some of that contaminant looking stuff up there. To blow this down, these things can sit on the shelf for years. So shake this thing up. Okay, the super light coats, that's all. That's it. First coat on there, just like that. Walk away from it. I put 3 light coats on there. See how it's got that little orange peel texture look? Don't worry about that kind of stuff. Just let this thing cure up for a couple of days. You know, there's a bunch of videos on polishing paint, different ways people do it. I would take some 600 grit or a Scotch-Brite in the sink with soap and water and just go over those places you don't like and then get it clean and ready for the final paint job. Okay, and this is why we paint our Grasshopper, because you see how ugly this looks. It's horrible. And then after you put the stickers on there, you see completely different. This, ew. So since we painted these, you have to be careful the way you stick these together. So we're using that pinion screwdriver, and we want to bring these in evenly. You can pry them back out, but we don't want to risk screwing up our paint job. So I did put some paint on the back, but be careful not to cake it up because you won't be able to stick those little nuts in there. And I got some oil shocks. Do not buy these suck. They leak. I got them on eBay for $23. They might just be old. So it uses the factory little metal brackets. Go ahead and screw that in there. Okay, so then you use the existing hardware on the bottom, nut to the front. They look really good, and they feel good too. All right, then for the back, so you use the same hardware from the old ones. How does it feel compared to the old one? Feels a lot better. Totally worth it. These actually do not hit the motor. I think the factory ones did. So I got oil-filled shocks for the Grasshopper for $23, but they were missing the E-clips on the front. This right here can save your life. You can find these all over the internet. The local hobby shop had them for $3. Best $3 I ever spent so far. Comes with a whole bunch, and it had the 2 for these shots. So we're gonna go ahead and put the silver wheels on here to see what they look like. Man, I might leave these wheels on the Grasshopper. Man, that looks freaking good. So we painted all 4 Hot Shot wheels silver. I think that's good to go. We're showing these because I did not clear them. We did clear coat these with 2 coats of clear. So I finally did buy the Hornet. It comes with rear oil shocks, but not on the front. And for some reason, they don't sell just front oil shocks on the internet. They want to sell you a whole set, and the average price is about $35. I know the Hornet has silver wheels, but I swear the Frog does too. So the figure paint job is done. The eyes are hard because the mold is not really perfect around them. So there's this douchebag on YouTube that is like practically making fun of people that cut the stickers out with scissors. Like, you think they don't own a hobby knife. I've owned so many hobby knives, and I cannot cut stickers out to save my life. It's the most difficult thing, and it tires my hand out. And that guy's full of crap, because on some of these models, you have to cut a sticker out that thin. And how in the world are you doing that with a hobby knife? Be careful who you listen to on the internet. With the scissors, you have perfect control, and you can get right on the edge of that sticker like we're about to. See how we're going super duper close? This is gonna give the sticker the best look. So with the stickers, that's what I use my hobby knife for. So it's kind of showing it down low, like right there. And unfortunately, the guy cannot fit in this Grasshopper because of the ESC I'm running. So let's take a final look. The AliExpress ESC 120 amp works real good. I buy used cars, so we have some Traxxas parts in here, testing them out. So far they work real good. And I'm starting to run antennas now. So the battery, cheap one off eBay. This is the one I was getting 46 miles an hour with 4,300 kV. I like that battery because it fits perfect in the Grasshopper. It's not loose at all, snug in there. So once again, airbrushing those bars came out real nice. Airbrushing the spotlights, see how they were screwed up real bad. I was just sanding them down, reuse a sticker, and now they don't look that bad. And that's why I never gave up on this Grasshopper, because this looks like a freshly painted body, and all I did was wash it in Purple Power and respray the semi-gloss bars. And this thing, this body is scratched up pretty bad. Oh, it's been on the whole time, man. Oh my God, don't you hate that when the thing's been on for hours? Always check that cogging when you put a new motor in there. So far, it feels perfect. So I don't want to do 46 miles an hour anymore. I'm hoping to get just around 39. Well, there you go. Grasshopper, very cool car. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.